Okay, so another type of stability will be related to the input, how the external force will drive the output. Okay, so this is not about um, initial condition anymore. And the second type of stability is defined like this. And try to answer the following question. If an input is bounded, meaning the input signal doesn't go to infinity, it always within a certain bound. Okay? So mathematically, it means f of t, the absolute value of ft, is always less than a certain bound, big M. It can be a very large number, but as long as it doesn't go to infinity, we say it's bounded for all t. How does the input look like? Does this mean that the output, the corresponding output to this input, is also bounded? In other words, can we find a constant in hat such that the corresponding output y of t no longer doesn't exceed this bound? If we can find it, that means it's bounded, otherwise it's unbounded. So the second stability, try to answer this question. Now, if your answer is yes, and your answer yes applies to all the bounded input you can find, then the system is referred to as bounded input, bounded output stable. Bounded input and bounded output stable. If answer is yes to all, not one, not two, to all possible bounded input. Remember, it has to apply to all, not just one of them. Then we call the system bounded input, bounded output stable. Or for sure, we just take the initials BIBO, call it Bible stable or Bibo stable. And this is again what I want to emphasize. It's not for one, it's not for two, for 100. It has to apply to all the bounded inputs. Now, for LTI systems, the determination is actually very simple. If the system is asymptotically stable, meaning all lambda i's have negative real part, then it implies that the system has to be bibostable, meaning as long as your input is bounded, no matter what shape it takes, as long as it's bounded, your output is guaranteed to be bounded as well, meaning the output won't blow up to infinity. This is the bibostability. So if I ask you to determine bibostability, you will need to follow the same procedure, only in this time you'll be focusing on whether or not the system is going to be asymptotically stable. So if your system is marginally stable, then for some input, bounded input is going to be stable, but for some it is not. This is something that you want to make sure that we all understand. Okay. And let's just look at one quick example and we'll see how this Bible stable can transpire. And this example is as follows. We'll look at a very special example. So this example says I have a system that's characterized by the following differential equation, that dft dt is equal to f. Okay, it's a very special system. It's simple, but it's a very special system. Now, if you take its integral on both sides of the equation, you can find out y will be equal to what? Will be equal to the integral of f. So if you take the integral on both sides of this equation, this is what you're going to obtain from your single variable calculus class. Now, if I want to write down the characteristic equation for this, what do I have? Since this is, a derivative, I should have lambda, but I don't have other terms, so it will be just lambda equal to 0. And it's clear you have only one characteristic roots. From our knowledge above, I know, well, the system should be marginally stable. So if you place the system on a non-zero initial condition and without any external input f, the system will just stay there forever, right? This is like your capacitor. Capacitors, from your circuit class, you probably still remember a capacitor is basically an integrator. And if you have a capacitor but doesn't connect the capacitor to any external circuit, well, the amount of charge in your capacitor remains the same, the voltage of the capacitor remains a constant. So it won't blow up to infinity, it just remains at the particular point. So it's marginally stable. Now, is it Bible stable? Is it Bible stable? Well, it's very easy, for this particular case, it's very easy to determine if you want to use this criterion to make the conclusion. Well, it's easy since it's marginally stable. It is not asymptotically stable, so it's not Bible stable. Right? This is the case. Not going to be Bible stable. Can we prove this? Well, if the answer is negative, not Bible stable, I only need to find one counterexample, because Bible stable asks for all. If you can find one counterexample, that means, well, the argument is destroyed. So I'll just give you one counterexample to support our conclusion. If we have an input f of t and it's equal to nothing else but u of t. Unit step input, then for sure your input signal is bounded. It's never going to exceed 1.1. The maximum you can go is 1. So it's bounded. What about the output? So the y of t is equal to negative t to t. If you want to do this, it's fine. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to integrate a unit step signal. So if t is here, then your integral will always be 0. You'll be integrating all zeros. If t is here, then you'll be calculating the integral means the area. Okay? So the area will be the height 1 multiplied by the length equal to t. So calculation of this means for t less than 0 is 0, for t larger than 0 is equal to t. And this is what we call the ramp function. So we're integrating the step. Your y of t in this case will be a ramp. We're linearly increasing in time because we'll be integrating this guy over time. As time goes on, you'll be integrating a larger area and a larger area. And eventually this will blow up to infinity. So for bounded input, your output will shoot up to infinity, meaning it's not bounded. And with this counterexample, you can also say that the system is not bipole-stable. Okay, this is everything I want to talk about as far as stability is concerned. We have two types of stability, just to recap. Stability with respect to how the system returns to equilibrium from a certain initial condition, and stability with respect to when you have a bounded input, does your output also bounded? Okay. The two different questions have defines two types of stability. But for linear time invariant system, the determination of the two all comes down to look at your characteristic roots. Okay. Look at the real part, look at whether or not they are repeated. Okay, this concludes this part of the video. I will start a new video talking about how to use MATLAB to solve our math assignment.